Hey everyone, my name is Marcin Iwiński and I'm the co-founder of CD Projekt. When I started CD Projekt 25 years ago, one of its founding principles was honest and direct communication with gamers.
Get out the way, get out the way, get out the way. Get out the way, get out the way, get out the way.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and this is not a good look for CD Projekt Red. I understand that a lot of people are over this. I don't expect this to be earth-shattering news because 9 million, 10 million people have already pre-ordered or purchased Cyberpunk 2077 and played it through. They've moved on, many. I'm still waiting for the next couple of patches before I really try to give the game a chance. I think that's really instead of simping for CD Projekt Red Online, I think that the best thing I can do is give them time to fix it and then play it to make my first true playthrough a much better version of the game. Look, and I get it. There's very little value in continuing to kick CD Projekt Red while they're down. They've promised to fix it. They've shown thus far that they will continue to provide patches. They've got 2 big patches, I think, yet at least 1 more coming this month, which is a good thing. I believe that Cyberpunk 2077 will be an amazing game in a year or 2. And that's exactly when I hope that most people will play it through the first time. But it's still important to look at the objective facts here and understand that CD Projekt Red is not the same company that gave us The Witcher 3. They knowingly hid information. They knowingly pushed out a game that was not ready. They knowingly deceived us with E3 trailers. You're going to have to see everything coming forward. I think it's an important lesson to all of us to remember that nobody's above scrutiny. But over the weekend, or on Friday, good old Scryer boy Jason released an actual piece of investigative journalism instead of just whining about crunch. And it's really heartbreaking. Really, really heartbreaking. CD Projekt Red has been lying to us for years. We're going to get into all of that right after this super important word from this video sponsor, Private Internet Access. Huge shout out to this video sponsor, Private Internet Access. In current year, basically everyone should be using a VPN. What is a VPN? Well, it stands for a virtual private network. With Private Internet Access, all of your traffic goes through a secure VPN tunnel, your IP address is hidden, and your data is encrypted. Private Internet Access is available for all platforms: Windows, Mac OS, Android, iOS, and many others. They have a strict no-logs policy. You can use 1 subscription to protect up to 10 devices at a time. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can start getting your digital privacy for less than $3 a month. And reviewers love Private Internet Access. CNET rated it as, quote, spectacular, and it got PC Mag's Editor's Choice Award for the past 5 years. You can access geo-restricted content from websites, YouTube included, social media networks, find better deals online, play games blocked in your region, and protect your identity by keeping your data encrypted. Pick up this awesome offer available just to my subscribers. It's located in the pinned comment below as well as the description. Start protecting yourself today. I said it in 2020 and I'll say it again in 2021. You don't have to use my suggestion at a VPN, but you should be using one, and they give you a massively good deal, so check it out. Now on Friday, Scryer Boy released a long article about the development process of Cyberpunk 2077, and ultimately developers say they knew the game was not ready to be released publicly. And again, I've never blamed the developers. I'm not going to start now. They're not the ones that make the decisions. They're not the ones that, come up with all the marketing materials and the unlimited promises. In a somber 5-minute video address and accompanying blog post, the CEO acknowledged that the game did not meet the quality standard we wanted to meet, and the entire leadership team are deeply sorry for this. Iwinski apologized. The second within a month was an attempt to restore the Polish company's reputation with scores of fans and investors who had waited 8 years for the game, only to discover it was riddled with bugs, performance issues, and when it was finally released, uproar over the botched debut caused a 30% drop in CD Projekt Red's shares from December 10th through mid-January. In fact, I wanted to look at where it's at now. I'm guessing down. That's right. It has been down. It did see a brief recovery in early January, but they gave it all right back up on Friday, probably after Jason Schreier's piece. So he literally cost them money. Interviews with more than 20 current and former CD Projekt Red staff, most of whom requested anonymity so as to not risk their careers, depict the development process marred with unchecked ambition, poor planning, and technical shortcomings. Employees discussing the game's creation for the first time described a company that focused on marketing at the expense of development and an unrealistic timeline that pressured some into working extensive overtime long before the final push. CD Projekt Red declined to comment on the process or provide interviews for the story. Now, I'm not going to read his entire piece here. That's for, hey, look, credit where credit is due. I don't like Jason Schreier. But when he does good work, I recommend people read it. It's on Bloomberg.com. Definitely read this piece. Now, Cyberpunk 2077, a role-playing game set in a sci-fi dystopia, had a lot going for it. A Warsaw-based CD Projekt already was well known for earlier blockbuster title Witcher 3, and Cyberpunk benefited from a massive ad blitz and a leading role actor Keanu Reeves. Thanks to pre-launch hype, the game sold 13 million copies at $60 a piece in the first 10 days after its release. CD Projekt was, for a while, the most valuable company in Poland. Early reviews were generally good, but once players got the game in the hand, they realized problems on the PCs was almost unplayable on consoles. It performed so poorly that Sony removed the game from the PlayStation Store and offered refunds in an unprecedented move, while Microsoft slapped on a label warning customers that they may experience performance issues on the Xbox One until the game is updated. Now, we do know that CD Projekt Red has promised 2 big updates, I believe both this month, given their current timeline, but man, I would understand if people are just over it, over CD Projekt Red after everything that we find out in this article. Now, some of the biggest parts here, some of the biggest takeaways, of course, from this article is that and this is probably the most egregious, that the 2018 demo at E3 was fake.
It's a fake. Don't you understand? It is real.
There was absolutely no gameplay backing that demo. It was all just garbage. A new report has given us a deeper insight in the development and launch of Cyberpunk 2077, with the comments from the studio challenging the contentious write-up after its publication. According to Bloomberg, Cyberpunk's 2077 development was even more trouble than the studio let on. A massive new report on site, protected by a paywall, dives into the nitty-gritty of the game's troubled development, revealing tensions between the development staff and CD Projekt Red's management. One developer told Bloomberg that working on the game was like trying to drive a train while the tracks are being laid in front of you at the same time, and that staff expected the game to be ready in 2022. The Bloomberg report also infers that the Cyberpunk 2077 demo that was shown off back in 2018 was almost entirely fake. Quote, CD Projekt hadn't yet finalized or coded the underlying gameplay systems, which is why so many features such as car ambushes were missing from the final product, Bloomberg noted of the demo. Developers said they felt like the demo was a waste of months that should have gone towards making the actual game. CD Projekt Red head Adam Badowski has responded to Bloomberg and challenged the view of the event, said in a follow-up statement written last night, Saturday, January 16th. Badowski says that the demo was always labeled a work in progress and that the features that appear in the demo but not in the final game are missing thanks to the creation process. Our final look at the game looks and plays way better than the demo ever was, he says in the statement. Now, here's the statement. This is not a good look. You see here, I've read your piece and tweets. Thank you for the read. I have some thoughts. Here's how they responded. Fans and journalists were wowed by Cyberpunk's 2077 ambition and scale. What they didn't know is that the demo was almost entirely fake. Now, CD Projekt Red responds as follows. It's hard for a trade show game demo to not be a test of vision or vertical slice 2 years before the game ships. But that doesn't mean it's fake. Compare the demo with the game. Look at the dum-dum scene with the car chase, or many other things. What the people reading your article may not know is that the games are not made in a linear fashion and start looking like a final product only months before they launch. If you look at the demo now, it's different, yes, but that's what the quote work in progress watermark is for. Our final game looks and plays way better. As for quote missing features, that's part of the creation process. Features come and go as we see if they work or not. Also, the car ambushes exist in the final game almost verbatim as to what's seen in the demo. And if we get a bit more granular about the release, the vision we presented in this demo evolved into something that got multiple 9 out of 10s and 10 out of 10s on PC from many renowned gaming outlets in the world. As for old gen consoles, yes, that's another case, but we've owned up to that and are working super hard to eliminate bugs on PC too. We know that's not perfect. We are proud of Cyberpunk 2077 as a game and artistic vision. That's all, is not what I'd call disastrous. This is actually a pretty rough reply, I think. Is the word, fake the right word? I mean, it's certainly misleading. And this reply isn't great either. I mean, you can't keep hanging your hat on it plays pretty good on PC. Remember that while it does play pretty decent on PC, and in my limited hours, I've experienced very few bugs, that does not put back the content that you stripped, that does not fix the wanted system, that does not fix a lot of the problems that the game has that you stripped from features. Quote, most of the staff openly said it wouldn't be ready till for release in 2020. They said you've talked with 20 people, some are ex-employees, only one of whom is not anonymous. I wouldn't call that, quote, most of over the 500 people staff fair. I think that's a fair reply. A few non-Polish staffers shared stories about coworkers using the Polish in front of them, which violated company's rules, made them feel ostracized, they said. Were their coworkers talking garbage about them? Everyone here speaks English during meetings. Every company-wide email and announcement is in English. All that is mandatory. Rule of thumb is to switch to English when there's a person not speaking a given language in a casual conversation. It is, however, pretty normal for Germans speaking German, Poles speaking Polish, Spaniards speaking Spanish. There are 44 nationalities at the studio. You get the point. When there's no one else around, we're all in a multicultural environment. If the question is if it's hard to move to another country, sometimes culture and the work and live there, then yes. But that's a universal to every company all over the world, and we're doing what we can to ease that transition. Again, fine. Now, there is another interesting part of this that is very frustrating as a buyer and supporter of the game. Cyberpunk 2077 full development reported it didn't even start till 2016. CD Projekt Red executives were overconfident and unrealistic about the game's launch, according to a new report. Jason Schreier, again, in the months leading up to this December 10th launch, reports emerged that Project Red staff working long, arduous hours to meet launch deadlines. Project Red co-founder Marcin Nowinski issued a mea culpa for the messy release. Again, I don't know that necessarily just washes it away. According to Bloomberg, CD Projekt Red was still focused on The Witcher 3 when Cyberpunk was announced in 2012. Company executives apparently believed that they could replicate the success it had in the game developing Cyberpunk, and the detail didn't make the final edit of the Bloomberg story. Schreier tweeted that game had changed significantly since it was first announced. Up until 2016, he says, it was a third-person game. So this is a pretty damning report. Again, none of this, as far as I can see, unless you can point out something specific, would be something that I would directly blame on the developers, but to keep hiding behind the PC release is a little disingenuous, given you could have just released it on PC only, but no, you didn't do that. You took the money. You could have released it on PC in 2020 and then pushed the console release back if that was what you wanted to do. Again, the game is still fine. It's just only 80% of what it could be. And if we look at a lot of the replies from Badowski, yes, boo to the journalist actually doing their job correctly, as opposed to CDPR studio head, who is 100% running damage control. I hope CDPR can recover at some point, but they messed up, and the best thing they can do right now is be transparent and own this. And right, and I agree with that. And to wrap this up, and I said this in my last Cyberpunk video, and I'll say it again, there's very little value in continuing to pummel them while they're down. All they can do is fix the game, and that's what they've got to do. They're not walking away from this, and so there's that. But to dismiss the outright lies and deceiving marketing that CD Projekt Red knowingly put into place over the last 7 years is not something that I'm ever going to easily forget. It just goes to show you even the chosen ones can turn on you when there's that much money involved. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.